I, 29F, am going through a really tough time right now. My stepfather, Mark, 58M, passed away suddenly from a heart attack about 2 months ago. It was a huge shock for everyone, especially my mom, Deborah, 55F. Mark had been in my life since I was 10 years old when he married my mom, and I always saw him as my real dad. To give you some backstory, my biological father left when I was just a baby. Mom raised me on her own for years, working 2 jobs to make ends meet. When she met Mark, it was like our lives did a complete 180. He was kind, successful, and treated us both like we were the most precious things in the world. I remember being skeptical at first. I'd seen Mom get her heart broken before, and I was protective of her. But Mark won me over with his patience and genuine interest in my life. He never tried to replace my bio dad, but he stepped up in all the ways that mattered. He came to every school event, taught me to drive, and even walked me down the aisle at my wedding. When I graduated college, he surprised me by offering to pay off all my student loans. That's the kind of man I thought he was. Generous, loving, and devoted to his family. Mom and Mark seemed to have the perfect marriage. They were always affectionate, rarely argued, and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. They traveled a lot and had loads of shared hobbies. I used to joke that they were more like newlyweds than a couple who'd been together for nearly 2 decades. That's why it was such a shock when we discovered the truth after Mark's death. We were going through his things, trying to sort out his affairs, when we found a burner phone hidden in his desk drawer. Mom almost didn't look through it, but curiosity got the better of her. That's when our world came crashing down. The phone was full of messages and photos exchanged with my mom's cousin, Jenna, 52F. It quickly became clear that they'd been having an affair for the past 8 years. I felt sick to my stomach reading through their exchanges, the pet names, the secret meetups, the plans they'd made for a future together. Jenna has always been the black sheep of the family. She married young to a wealthy older man, Tom, and has spent most of her adult life as a socialite. She and my mom used to be close when they were younger, but they drifted apart over the years. Jenna always seemed to look down on my mom for working a regular job and not being part of the country club set. Before we could even process this betrayal, Jenna showed up at our house. She was crying and demanding to speak to my mom. At first, we thought she was there to offer condolences, but then she launched into a confession about her affair with Mark. She showed my mom even more evidence. Emails, hotel receipts, photos from their secret vacations together. Jenna claimed that she and Mark were deeply in love and had been planning to leave their spouses to be together. She said the only reason they hadn't done it yet was because Mark was worried about hurting my mom and me. I don't know if I believe that. It seems more likely they were both too cowardly to face the consequences of their actions. My mom was absolutely shattered. She couldn't stop crying and asking what she'd done wrong, why she wasn't enough for Mark. It broke my heart to see her like that. I was angry at Mark for putting her through this and furious at Jenna for having the audacity to show up and twist the knife. But Jenna wasn't done dropping bombshells. She started insisting that she deserved a portion of Mark's estate. Her reasoning was that since they were in a long-term relationship, she should be entitled to some of his assets and life insurance payout. She even had the nerve to say that Mark would have wanted her to be taken care of. When we refused, Jenna got nasty. She threatened to contest the will and expose the affair publicly if we didn't agree to give her a share. She said she had emails from Mark promising to leave her money, though she conveniently couldn't produce them. My mom was so overwhelmed and distraught that she actually considered giving in to Jenna's demands just to make her go away. But I refused to let that happen. Mark may have cheated, but that didn't mean this woman deserved any of his money. Legally and morally, it belonged to my mom and me. I told Jenna in no uncertain terms that she wouldn't be getting a penny. I reminded her that she was nothing more than Mark's mistress, and that she had no legal claim to anything. This set her off. She started screaming at us, calling us greedy and heartless. She said we'd regret crossing her. True to her word, Jenna began a campaign of harassment against us. She bombarded us with calls and messages at all hours. When we blocked her number, she started reaching out to other family members and mutual friends, spinning a sob story about how we were denying her what she was owed. Her adult children even got involved, sending us guilt-tripping messages about how their mom deserved compensation for all the years she'd devoted to Mark. It was surreal to be painted as the bad guys in this situation when we were the ones who'd been betrayed. The constant pressure and drama was taking a huge toll on my mom. She could barely eat or sleep, and she'd cry at the drop of a hat. I hated seeing her like this and knew I had to do something to make it stop. That's when I decided to fight fire with fire. If Jenna wanted to play dirty, I could play dirty too. I started doing some digging, reaching out to old family friends and acquaintances who might have dirt on Jenna. What I discovered was even worse than I'd imagined. Not only had Jenna been cheating on her husband Tom with Mark, but she was currently involved with another married man as well. This guy, let's call him Dave, was a fellow country club member whose wife was battling cancer. I gathered all the evidence I could find of both affairs: text messages, photos, hotel receipts, everything. Then I posted it all on social media for everyone to see, including Jenna's husband and kids. I made sure to tag relevant family members so it would spread quickly. In the post, I laid out the whole sordid story. I exposed Mark and Jenna's affair too, figuring there was no point in protecting Mark's reputation anymore. I detailed how Jenna had shown up after the funeral to demand money, and how she'd been harassing us ever since. The response was immediate and explosive. Jenna's carefully curated society wife image crumbled overnight. Her husband left her. Her kids refused to speak to her, and she's become a pariah in the country club circles she once ruled. She's still threatening legal action, but our lawyer says she doesn't have a leg to stand on. He's confident that even if she tries to contest the will, she won't get anywhere. I thought I'd feel victorious after taking Jenna down, but instead I just feel drained. The whole situation is such a mess, and it feels like it's tainted all my memories of Mark. I'm struggling to reconcile the loving stepfather I knew with the man who could betray us like this. The biggest problem now is that my mom is really upset with me for what I did. She says I went too far, and that I've damaged Mark's legacy. A lot of our family members agree and are calling me spiteful and vindictive. But I don't think I did anything wrong. Jenna and Mark made their choices, and now they, or Mark's memory at least, have to face the consequences. I was just protecting what's rightfully ours. My mom is the wronged party here, not Jenna. Why should we give up half of our inheritance to the woman who helped destroy our family? I know my mom is still grieving and processing everything, so I'm trying to be patient. But it hurts that she seems more concerned with preserving Mark's reputation than standing up for herself. I was only looking out for her best interests. Am I really the asshole here? Should I have just kept quiet and given Jenna what she wanted? I don't think I could have lived with myself if I did that. But now I'm starting to question if I went too far. I'd appreciate any outside perspectives on this messy situation. Update 1. It's been about 3 weeks since my last post, and unfortunately, things have only gotten more complicated and painful. The fallout from my actions continues to ripple through my family, and I'm starting to wonder if the cost was too high. My mom is still barely speaking to me. She's moved out of our house, the home she shared with Mark for nearly 2 decades, and is staying with her sister, my Aunt Karen. Every time I try to reach out, she either ignores me or responds with short, cold messages. It's killing me to be cut off from her like this when we've always been so close. To give you some context, my mom and I have always had a special bond. When it was just the two of us against the world, we became not just mother and daughter, but best friends. We've always been able to talk about anything. She was the first person I called with any news, good or bad. The fact that she's shutting me out now is devastating. I finally managed to have a real conversation with her last week, but it didn't go well. She told me that she's ashamed of my behavior and thinks I acted out of selfishness and spite rather than concern for her. According to her, I've made this whole situation 100 times worse and more painful than it needed to be. I tried to explain again that I was just trying to protect us from Jenna's manipulations and extortion attempts. I reminded her of how Jenna had threatened us and tried to bully her way into Mark's inheritance. But my mom wasn't having it. She said that by exposing everything publicly, I've ensured that she'll never be able to move past this, or remember Mark without pain and anger. She feels like I've tainted all of her happy memories. What hurt the most was when she said she doesn't recognize the person I've become and that she raised me to be better than this. She actually told me that right now, she doesn't even want me in her life. That felt like a knife to the heart. I know grief can make people lash out, but I never expected my own mother to turn on me like this. It makes me question if I really did do the wrong thing, even though I still believe I was justified. To make matters more complicated, Mark's family is now getting involved. His brother Jack reached out to tell me that they're planning to contest the will. Apparently, they don't think I deserve to inherit anything after dragging Mark's name through the mud. They say that since I'm not his biological child, I have no right to his money if I'm not going to protect his legacy. This has brought up a lot of painful memories and insecurities for me. When Mark first came into our lives, his family wasn't thrilled about him marrying a woman with a kid. They were always polite to me, but I could sense their reservations. Over the years, I thought we'd moved past that, and that they'd accepted me as part of the family. Now it feels like they're using this situation as an excuse to push me out. I'm hurt and angry that they would try to cut me out like this. Mark raised me since I was 10. He was my dad in every way that mattered. We were extremely close, and I know he would have wanted me to inherit. It feels like a betrayal of his memory for them to try and take that away from me now. Our lawyer says they don't have much of a case, but it's still causing me a lot of stress. Between this and the ongoing drama with Jenna, I feel like I'm fighting battles on all sides. And the one person I want to lean on most, my mom, isn't there for me. I'm starting to wonder if any of this was worth it. Yes, we've kept Jenna from getting her hands on the inheritance. But at what cost? I've potentially destroyed my relationship with my mom. Extended family members I was once close to now want nothing to do with me. And I'm facing a costly legal battle that's draining the very inheritance I was trying to protect. There are moments where I consider just giving in and splitting the money with Jenna and Mark's family just to make all of this go away. But then I remember how manipulative and cruel Jenna was, how she was ready to blackmail us, and my resolve strengthens. I know that giving in would be letting Mark and my mom down. The stress is really starting to get to me. I'm having trouble sleeping and concentrating at work. I've lost weight because I can barely eat. My husband is worried about me and keeps suggesting I talk to someone, but I don't know how to even begin explaining this mess to a stranger. I just wish I knew how to fix things with my mom. I miss her so much and hate that she sees me as the villain in all this. I've tried apologizing, but she doesn't want to hear it. I've sent flowers, letters, even tried to visit, but she won't see me. Part of me wants to respect her wishes and give her space, but another part is terrified that if I do that, I'll lose her forever. I keep replaying our last conversation in my head, wondering if there was something I could have said differently to make her understand. I'm at a loss for what to do next. This whole situation has become such a tangled mess, and I don't know how to start unraveling it. I have never imagined that trying to protect my mom would end up costing me my relationship with her. I don't know how to move forward from here. Update 2. It's been about 2 months since my last update, and I'm sorry to say that things have only gotten worse. The legal battles are in full swing now, with both Jenna and Mark's family aggressively contesting the will. Our lawyer is doing his best, but it's a long and expensive process that's draining me both financially and emotionally. What's even more devastating is that my relationship with my mom seems to be permanently damaged. She's still living with my aunt, and has made it clear she has no interest in reconciling anytime soon. The last time we spoke, she told me that she's decided to support Mark's family in contesting the will. She says that since I've betrayed Mark's memory, I don't deserve his inheritance. I was shocked and hurt beyond words. It feels like my own mother has completely abandoned me. I tried to remind her of all the years Mark and I spent together, how he always treated me as his own daughter. But she just accused me of using him for his money, and said that a real daughter would have protected his reputation no matter what. This has caused a huge rift in our extended family. Some relatives are siding with my mom and Mark's family, while others support me. Family gatherings have become tense affairs full of awkward silences and pointed comments. I've stopped attending most of them because I can't stand the hostile atmosphere. My cousin Amy, who's always been like a sister to me, tried to play peacemaker at a recent family dinner. She suggested that maybe if I apologized publicly and retracted my social media posts, everyone could start to move past this. But I don't see how I can do that without letting Jenna off the hook and opening us up to her demands again. Jenna is still on the warpath, determined to get what she feels she's owed. She's been spreading vicious rumors about me in the community, painting me as a greedy, heartless person who is disrespecting her true love, Mark. Some people are actually buying into it, and I've lost friends over this. Last week, I ran into Jenna at the grocery store. She made a big show of crying and saying how much she missed Mark, loudly enough for everyone around us to hear. When I tried to hurry away, she followed me, asking how I could be so cruel to my poor, grieving mother by putting her through this legal battle. It took everything in me not to scream at her right there in the produce aisle. The stress of everything is really taking a toll on me. I'm having trouble sleeping and concentrating at work. Some days I can barely get out of bed, overwhelmed by the weight of it all. I keep second-guessing every decision I've made, wondering if there was a way I could have handled this that wouldn't have cost me so much. My husband has been my rock through all of this, but I can tell it's wearing on him too. He's been picking up my slack at home and trying to shield me from the worst of the gossip. I feel guilty for putting him in this position, especially since this isn't even his family drama. But then I remember how Jenna tried to manipulate and blackmail us, how she was ready to tear our family apart for money. I think of how Mark betrayed my mom's trust for years, and I find my resolve again. I know I did the right thing in exposing the truth, even if everyone else disagrees. I'm trying to stay strong and focus on the future. I've started looking into grief counseling groups, hoping to find people who might understand what I'm going through. I'm also throwing myself into work as a distraction. It's not much, but it's helping me get through each day. I still hold out hope that someday my mom will come around and see that I was just trying to protect us. But I'm also preparing myself for the possibility that our relationship may never recover. It's a painful reality to face, but I'm doing my best to accept it. For now, I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to stay true to myself, even when it feels like the whole world is against me. Update 3. It's been 6 months since this nightmare began, and I've finally reached a turning point. After months of legal battles, stress, and heartache, I've made the difficult decision to walk away from it all. I met with our lawyer last week, and he laid out the reality of the situation. While we might eventually win the case, it could take years and drain most of the inheritance in legal fees. And even if we won, the personal cost would be immeasurable. So I've decided to offer a settlement. I'm giving up my claim to the inheritance, splitting it between my mom, Mark's family, and yes, even Jenna. It's not what I wanted, but I realize now that no amount of money is worth the pain and damage this fight has caused. The decision wasn't easy. I spent nights agonizing over it, feeling like I was letting Mark down by giving in. But then I found an old photo album from my high school graduation. There was a picture of Mark beaming proudly next to me in my cap and gown. I remembered how he always said that family was more important than anything else. I think he'd understand why I'm doing this. I called my mom to tell her about the decision. It was the first time we'd spoken in months. The conversation was awkward and stilted, but at least she didn't hang up on me. She agreed to the settlement terms, but made it clear that this doesn't fix everything between us. She said she needs more time. Telling Jenna was harder. I arranged to meet her in a public place, worried about how she might react. To my surprise, she was subdued. The fight seems to have gone out of her, too. She accepted the terms without argument, and even thanked me for being generous. The word tasted bitter in my mouth, but I let it go. Mark's family was the last to agree, but they eventually came around. I think they're just relieved to put this all behind them. My relationship with them will never be the same, but at least the hostility has cooled. The legal proceedings to finalize everything are underway. It's strange to think that soon this will all be over. I'm not sure how to feel about it. There's relief, certainly, but also a lingering sadness for everything that's been lost. I'm planning to move to a new city once everything's settled. I need a fresh start, away from all the painful reminders and gossip. My husband's company has an office in Seattle, and they've agreed to transfer him. It's scary to think about starting over, but also oddly freeing. My cousin Amy is the only one who seems to understand why I'm leaving. She helped me pack up my childhood bedroom at Mom's house last weekend. We found my old diaries, full of entries about how excited I was when Mark came into our lives. Amy hugged me as I cried over those innocent words from my younger self. I've learned some hard lessons through all of this, about family, loyalty, and the complexities of human relationships. I still believe I was right to expose the truth, but I regret the way I went about it. In trying to protect what I thought was important, I lost sight of what really matters. I don't know what the future holds. My relationship with my mom is still fragile, and I don't know if we'll ever fully recover what we had. But I'm hopeful that with time and distance, we might be able to build something new. For now, I'm focused on healing and moving forward. I'm looking into volunteer opportunities in Seattle, thinking maybe I can channel all this pain into helping others. My husband and I are talking about starting a family of our own someday. Life goes on, even after everything changes. To those who have followed my story and offered support, thank you. Your words have been a lifeline during this difficult time. I may not be around much once I move, but I'll always be grateful for the kindness of strangers during the darkest period of my life.